This game, bum bum. Fuck subtitles.
Once upon a time, the infamous rover Reynardo plundered the floating isles. Then his mother called him to her deathbed. "Swear to me that you won't die on the gallows," she rasped. Reluctantly, he swore. And he whiled away his days at home with music, cards, and wine. But the Emperor had changed. He'd been good once, a shy, almost humble toad. He'd built universities. Then people started whispering about mass graves in the woods, midnight rituals, victims screaming. The Imperial Ravens would round up entire villages, and no one ever returned. The Ravens had come to Ubar scouting for ancient books said to be of great power. But the librarians had hidden the books, so they'd burnt the librarians. The citizens, outraged, had driven them off. The Ravens had come back with dropships. The kid had fled with one of those books. He was brave and dumb and wanted to join the rebellion. And Reynardo had promised his mother he'd protect him.
I just bought Assassin's Creed. Like, I'm selling my computer. Any money I get from the selling computer, I'm using that towards game shit. Buying video games. I'm really hesitating on...
The kid was looking down, watching his city burn. "Sorry, kid," Reynardo told the kid. "Look, if we give them the book, they'll leave you alone." "My mother died for this book!" "I promised her I'd protect you." Oh, damn it. The kid had run off. With the book, of course. So Reynardo had to run after him.
Okay, it's too far back. Way too far back. Oh God, it's too far back. The visuals are nice, but it's too far back. Okay, he's getting closer.
The two Ravens were staring at the kid like he was their dinner, which probably was what was in their tiny brains. "Hey," Reynardo said. They cocked their heads at him. "Pick on someone as ugly as you." Wait, that didn't come out right. "For the Emperor!" The Ravens cawed and rushed at him.
You have died. Okay, it's still away.
A dropship flew overhead. He hoped they hadn't noticed it. The kid. Oh, right. The Gate of Heroes. Someone's idea of a joke, making the Skyship Docks a gated community. You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate. Who let you through?
Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels, or I'm gonna steal your ship.
I'm not taking that damn book anywhere, and neither are you.
Try and stop me, laughed the kid. I bet you don't even have a hero sword.
And with that, the kid hopped away. Had to hand it to the kid. He was an idiot, but he had guts. Where was Renato going to get a hero sword? I could forge a hero sword here, but I'm going to need ore.
I'm gonna like this game.
Nobody minds if I use this stuff.
I'm gonna like this game. Da 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 da.
A hero sword. QED.
QED. Awesome!
This is what he got for settling down and finding people to care about. The kid's mum had been a swell cook, and she'd laughed at Renato's jokes, even when he didn't know he'd made one. And then the ravens had come to burn her. And she'd made him promise to protect the kid. But she never told him where the book was. Just the kid.
With these games, I'm not gonna look at the fucking
He
trophy.
came up to a ledge. It was too far to jump. There'd been a bridge here before, hadn't there? And there was Peter, giggling at him. "How'd you get across?" he asked the kid. "Where'd you find a hook?" "I hopped," said the kid. Wise-ass kid. "Hey, look out behind you!" "Q," said Renato. Ah, ravens. It was time to talk some sense into the kid. Just hook his way across the ledge and chase the kid down. Thing was, he hadn't used his hook since he'd retired. How had he done it? Maybe if he meditated. At that altar there, he'd remember his old skills.
The more trophies you cover, the more tiers you unlock. Here you can find the skills in each skill and its unlocked requirements. You have a skill point to spend. True sword fu, ultimate sword fu. Defensive reflexes. Slow down time as a successful counter until your next action. Take a breather to plan your next move. Attack reflex. Time mastery. Counter an attack now causes damage. Impale your enemy on your sword when you grab him to cause damage. Recover from being hit. Increase your maximum health. Increase your maximum sword energy. Increase more sword magic. Run faster. Increase maximum stamina. Increase your maximum stamina.
It was starting to come back to him.
You know,
Something
nothing
never
ought to
completely
clock.
forgot,
Joffrey.
like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember.
Posts can be hooked in order to cross the gap. Press triangle to hook post or to pull it toward you.
And there was the Farfarer. She was the fastest ship he'd ever known. She could do the Kestra run in 12 furlongs. Well, so the salesman had told him. And something told him the kid was about to walk into an ambush.
Stop! He shouted. I'm not giving you the book!
Shouted the kid, and took off.
No! Peter!
But the kid ran for it. And a goggler nailed him with its eye beam. The book was unburned. Next to it were the buckles from the kid's shoes, and a kid-sized pile of ashes. Damn it. Why hadn't he lied and told the kid he'd take the book to the rebels? The kid would be alive now. Really pissed off and betrayed, but alive. Oh, damn it. Reynardo picked up the book. He couldn't let the Empire have it now. He was going to have to get it out of there. He'd be a wanted man. Probably have to join the rebellion just to have a place to dock. Well, he'd hated home life anyway.
Already a death.
What was the big deal about this book anyway? Maybe he should open it and find out. All that had been years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him.
Where are you running, rebel?
Cawed the Raven captain over the loud hailer. Reynardo could see them cranking up their catapults.
Just going out for milk?
Reynardo yelled back.
Where can you run?
Laughed the Raven horribly. Far behind him, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job.
Take us to the rebel base, and we'll spare your lives!
It cawed. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven. A sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes. The rebellion was out of time. Unless Reynardo could bring a game-changer. Maybe he could. Reynardo had found out where he could find the pieces of the Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had exiled the lost gods. Surely a legendary weapon could win the final battle. On the other hand, his old friend Lupino had sent Reynardo a desperate message saying he had a brilliant scheme to save the rebellion. If Reynardo could only rescue him. Reynardo dived the Farfarer towards the abyss. As he felt the heat of the jet stream, The Raven ships peeled off, not stable enough to follow him down there. Now it was time to choose. Lapino or the Sky Ripper? Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. The Ravens had figured out that Lapino was a rebel spy. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse.
I'm gonna play it 3 times. The first time I'm gonna do on the choices, the second time I'm gonna do the alternate choices.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
It was good to practice your moves, thought Reynardo. Keeps you limber.
Let me check something. My party. I need 30 ore. Also allows to heal oneself.
A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
Elon Muskrat.
The Ravens had taken the town. Reynardo had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals. Reynardo hoped the people were just hiding. Reynardo's blood was up. He just needed to smash something.
Hell yeah.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Where had the mad rabbit got to?
I like this. It goes up close and personal when you're doing the fights. I like games like these.
Bernardo felt like he was ready to learn new things. Thank goodness he didn't have to go to school for that.
Oh, really? Really?
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot. Like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember.
Can't we just agree to disagree?
Said Bernardo.
No?
I like combat like this. Dog. I'm loving coming back from school. I was playing Swap Quest. It didn't fulfill me. This game.
Bernardo felt a chill run down his back. Or possibly a flea.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get Secret of Mana if it's like this, voice acting. These are teleporters most likely.
Bam! Welcome to Earth. Bernardo told the corpses. It was something he'd seen in a play once. Dirty and bloody, Bernardo finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Bernardo recognized the cards. It was Lupino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer, and his only daughter? That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Yeah, I'm
The
gonna...
Sky Ripper, the transcendent Emperor, had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Bernardo had already let that armature slip away to save Lupino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that.
The core of the Sky Ripper? Lupino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy.
He sure had. Bernardo told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend.
Bernardo grinned. He had a very good feeling about this.
One thing I hope about this game, I don't need to go back to the blacksmith to change gear.
It's beautiful here, thought Bernardo. He was thrilled to be back with his old war buddy. He'd missed the mad rabbit, but something was not quite right.
Get the Sky Ripper core.
A chest that shiny deserved to be opened. I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Bernardo. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Where did that go to? Bernardo felt
wrong, all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds, if you didn't count the ravens. Renato smelled sick animals and dying ones, but no healthy ones. And getting a bad feeling about this, Renato thought. Maybe Lupino was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here.
He'd missed his old skills. He welcomed them back like he was at a reunion.
Combo.
Renato had learned so much about... Ooh, what was it again?
As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy, like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientist there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Renato ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Renato ached to be rid of it.
Tell you what, said Lupino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost.
The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Renato. But what if Lupino got the core and then broke it, or lost it, or worse? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself.
No, the core was far too important to entrust to Latina. The core is carried even with her.
Lupino was a touchy rabbit. Renato knew that. You're brave, I know, Renato said. But this is what I was hired to do.
At least let me run ahead and warn the scientists you're coming.
So, Lupino was intent on being a hero, just like him. War made sensible men crazy for glory, and Lupino had never been sensible. But what was the harm? Lupino might well trip over a hornet's nest of ravens. But that was better than ravens lying in ambush, wasn't it? They finished the trip to the Nexus in silence. Renato had no sooner rescued his friend than he was putting him back in danger. All right, he finally said as they landed. Go. As Renato watched Lupino vanish on the horizon, he could feel nausea building in him. He felt ill. Could his knees really be aching this much? But how could he have handed the core off to Lupino? That was a recipe for disaster. Who needed bridges anyway? That ought to be enough for a proper sword, he thought. Renato felt worse. All his joints were aching now. He'd been through beatings that felt better than this. So the core had a kind of poison that could harm you without even touching you. That's new. Well, it had power. The rebellion needed something with power. And how was this any worse than a sword wound? Well, a death by sword was sudden and fair. This was just squalid. A piecemeal death, like old age. He was practically sure he'd find something useful in one of these things. The Imperial fleet was closing in on the rebels. And what had Renato accomplished? He'd rescued Lupino, but ignored his plan. Now he was dying of the core's poison.
Let's off the rise switch swords. Yes! Hero sword. Firestorm. Next one is Fire Essence.
These platforms were great. Renato wanted one for his house.
I missed one.
Renato was dead tired. Then he was just dead. Renato hated warlocks. The way they stayed back and lobbed pain and death from a distance. Cowards. Really dangerous, effective cowards. For a moment, Renato wished that somebody had been watching. The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists everywhere. Renato found the mad rabbit cowering under a desk. The ravens, they must have known we were coming, said Lupino. How did you... See, I was doing a card trick with my lucky deck, and I kind of bobbled the cards, so I went under the desk to gather them up, and boom! I guess we'll have to take the car straight to the secret base. The secret rebel base. Yes. They had engineers there. But wait. Calaveras, the sage in the mountains. Maybe he would know what to do with the naked core. Was killing him. He needed help. The sage, Calaveras, had given him the maps to find the armature and the core. If anyone knew the true name of the Transcendent Emperor, if anyone knew how to assemble the Sky Ripper, Calaveras did. If anyone could heal Renato and render the core safe, at least to its bearer, surely it was he. The base of the mountain was the only safe place for a landing. He would have to continue on foot, muscles aching. Calaveras was a scholar, not a doctor. Could he really save Renato from the poison radiating from the lost god's eye he was so recklessly carrying?
Oh yeah, my health is decreasing.
Renado felt a little better. Oh, this was not a fun way to die. Even if he survived, no one would write ballads about the fox whose knees ached forever, would they? Not unless he paid for it. And he hated paying for publicity. Renado was remembering all his old tricks, and some new ones. Now, he really ought to ask for a raise. It was chilling walking through the living mountains. There was always noise up ahead. Insects, birds, the croak and flutter of ravens arranging ambushes. But close by, there was only the breeze and the trickle of melting snow. As if every living thing was holding its breath for his poisonous burden to move on.
Ooh, chest.
Renado's paws were getting numb. Calaveras really didn't want company, did he?
I think I'm streaming on the wrong title.